Hello everybody, today I will be doing my March wrap-up and my April TBR. Let's start with the books that I had started in February but finished in March. First I finished A Moveable Feast by Ernest Hemingway. This is his memoir from the expatriates period in Paris. So you see a lot of other famous writers such as Ezra Pound, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Gertrude Stein. I still remain not the biggest fan of Hemingway, but this was a nice insight into his life during that period. I loved the 20s. I gave this 3 stars. It was an interesting read, informative, and it was an interesting insight into Hemingway's life as a young fellow. This was my first memoir that I ever read, I think, unless I'm forgetting something. Next, I read The Ice Dragon by George R.R. Martin. This is a fun story, well, fun for George R.R. Martin, I guess. It's about this little girl who can ride the ice dragon, which isn't supposed to be possible, and she saves her village. It's a good little story. Children's book by George R.R. Martin, so obviously there's still death and sadness. But this edition is absolutely gorgeous. Just look at the illustration. The color scheme is very simple, and there's some death, because a George R.R. Martin novel is not complete if it doesn't have death. I recommend this edition because it's beautiful. It's still set in the same world as Song of Ice and Fire, but I believe it's many years before those books take place. The next book I read was The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. This was quite a good mystery. I gave it 4 stars, and the ending was totally unexpected, for me at least. And everything you think is wrong. I don't want to say anything else because I'll probably accidentally give something away. It's set in like traditional English times. It's the English countryside, and a murder takes place of Roger Ackroyd. It's not a spoiler because it's in the title. The next book I read was Utopia by Thomas More. Sir Thomas More, if you prefer. This is written in 2 parts. The first part is like this conversation about what's good and right and stuff. And then the second part is the Utopia itself. The book was hard to rate because it's a difficult read. It is 2 very different feels to it, the book 1 and the book 2. I think Sir Thomas More is more interesting than his story. He worked for King Henry VIII, so you can imagine how that worked out for him. It was written in the 1500s, and it was originally written in Latin. It is one of the reasons why it is so difficult. The last thing that I finished in March was The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot. This isn't a novel, it is a very long poem, so I counted it as a book, even though it's not really. I didn't end up rating it anything because it's a poem, and again, I didn't really understand what he was trying to get at. So I had finished 5 books, and I had started 2 others, which I'll talk about now. So the first one that I will actually be finishing this before March is over, because I'll be finishing it today. So I'm gonna count it, and that is Dr. Faustus, which is in this anthology, so you could obviously see it. Currently I'm about halfway through. It's a short play, so I could easily finish it today. It's pretty good so far, really interesting. Dr. Faustus is creepy and crazy, and I wouldn't sell my soul to the devil for knowledge, but he does. I think that's common knowledge. I hope that's not a spoiler for you. It happens in like scene 5. So I started City of Bones, the first book in the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. I'm currently on page 252, so about halfway through. I'm hoping to finish this week or into the weekend. I'm really enjoying it so far. I think it's a really interesting and unique story about Shadowhunters and Downworlders, how our main character Clary is kind of dealing with everything that's happening to her. I think it's a pretty good first book. Hopefully I will be finishing this in April. I will talk about it more in my April wrap-up. And the next book is a book you've seen many times. I don't think I read it at all in March. Maybe a little, but I don't think I really did. and that is A Feast for Crows by George R. R. Martin. I doubt I will finish this in April. We'll see, but I doubt it. Because I'm still on page 330 or whatever, I will hopefully get through more of it, but I don't think I'll finish it until May. So a book that I didn't finish in March, and I'm not sure if I'm going to, is Wonderlove by Kirsten Hubbard. I got about 100 pages in, and I'm just not feeling the writing style or the characters or pretty much anything. I might come back to this in the summertime when I'm bored and have nothing else to do. I'll give it at least one more shot. Now, I have a couple more books that I have to read for school over the next month, and lots of papers, so I'm going to be keeping this TBR quite short. And then I have The City and the City by China Mieville. I'm sorry, I totally butchered that. And I have to read this for class. I have no idea what it's about, I just know it's a mystery, because it's from my mystery class. And I also have to read The Life of Pi. I don't remember the author off the top of my head. And then I plan on reading City of Ashes, Book 2 in the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. This is for the Mortal read-along. I am really enjoying the first one, so I will be getting to this as soon as I finish the first one. And I'm excited. And then I have Pendragon, The Merchant of Death, which is the first book in the Pendragon series, which is about a 14-year-old boy named Bobby Pendragon, who is basically the chosen one and needs to save all of these planets. It's a sci-fi fantasy series, and I'm really excited to get to it because it's been on my TBR for like ever. It's a 10-book series, so it's a bit long, and my goal is to finish this series by the end of the year, so hopefully that happens. And the last book that I have on my TBR is kind of a doubter. I don't think I will actually get to it, and I'll probably end up reading it in May. So I'll be reading it for this read-along a little late, and that is the Enda read-along. I really want to read it, but they're all like over 500 pages each, so I don't think I will get to Enda this month, but I really want to at least try. So we'll see if that happens. I doubt it, but you know, I can always try. And that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave down below what you read in March and what you plan on reading in April so we can talk about it. Let me know if you read any of these books or want to, all that jazz. And I will see you in another video soon. So goodbye!